Okay. It says we are live. All right. Hey, so I'm Dennis Stoika with Modern Era Warriors. Welcome back for another podcast. We already have two people on board watching us too. Today I am with Catherine Chapman, Catherine Devine. She goes by both names in life. So you can, Catherine, I'm here with Catherine, right? And one of the biggest things that I wanted to do for our online university that I have, right, is to have podcasts once a month where I have experts on, and we're starting with people that I love and that I care for and that have provided a lot to me in my life, and so it's very important that I have people on that really are what we are, who I am, and that's Catherine today. And I spent 2 weeks with Catherine once, a few years ago, right? If I can get that up to hold a little bit better here, right? So Kokoro Yoga, awesome. She's in here, awesome. It's like third line here, and there's pictures of Catherine on the back too. So there she is, right? Awesome. Hey, so Catherine, what else do you have to tell anybody else here?
Well, just
Who like one of the things in coaching is right identifying who am I. So you tell everybody, who is Catherine?
oh, that's a very deep question. Well, I'd say at the core of who I am, I'm love in action.
Mm,
And that's how my soul came into this being. I go by a couple different names because my mother's maiden name is Chapman, and then my
mm,
stepdad's last name is
yeah.
Divine. And
Mm,
so just kind of oscillate. And one day I may just go by my spiritual name. I'm undecided on that,
mm,
which is yet to, I know what it is, but I'm not going to reveal it publicly yet.
okay.
Who am I? I am a curious individual
Hmm.
who has been a philosophical seeker for most of my life since I was a very small child,
Hmm.
always curious and also connected to a relationship with God, the universe, great spirit that moves in all things, and an adventurer. So that'd be the gist of who I am.
Cool. That's awesome. All right. So we have a couple people on. Todd Thomason says
Okay.
hi. And we'll get if anyone has any questions, you can throw them in there too. Maybe we'll get to them, maybe not. I have a lot of questions for Catherine and some fun ones at the end, and we'll be on for about 30 minutes. We're already a few minutes in. So, um, first question, right? The reason why I have you here today is really because of yoga and
Mhm.
being part of Unbeatable Mind and Seal Fit. I I had a challenge with myself. I'm like, I can't take 2 weeks off of work and go to a yoga teacher training, right? And I think I had conversation maybe with either you or Mark or and others people. I don't know. And I'm like, I can do it, But I inside me, I'm like, I can't take 2 weeks off of work, leave my job, and go do this, right? And let me tell you, I think, and one of the questions I have is with regards to yoga teacher training later on here, but it was the most amazing 2 weeks of doing nothing else but yoga for 2 weeks and just massive immersion within every day waking up, doing a very, very long sessions of breath, meditation, and movement, right? That I don't do as long every day. I try to do a longer session weekly, but not daily. And that was like every day. And it was just so amazing. So my advice to anybody is to get some additional immersion type training, do something that makes you feel uncomfortable, right? But my first question then is, what is yoga? What is yoga? What is yoga? And then maybe what is Kokoro yoga, if it's any different.
Yeah, so yoga, by definition, there's the word yoga in Sanskrit,
Mm-hmm.
which means to yoke or to bring together. It also gets
Mm-hmm.
translated as union or conscious union with God. So that's the word yoga.
Mm-hmm.
It's an umbrella for philosophy that was passed down as a verbal lineage for many years and then was finally written down by Patanjali in the Patanjali Sutras, and
Mm-hmm.
there's a 4 chapter book called the Patanjali Sutras that really lays out what yoga is. But yoga is a
Mm-hmm.
lifestyle, it's a practice, it's a way of being, it's a presence, it's a union of mind, body, spirit with that which we are from, that which we will return to. And then the difference, I would say, of Kokoro yoga is just, it's more stylistically more falling under what is known as asana, which is the physical practice of yoga. So in the Patanjali Sutras, they lay out the 8 limbs of yoga, and the third limb being asana. And Kokoro yoga, Kokoro has that heart, embodied heart intention of that translation of the Japanese word. And we're looking at a mixture, so kind of a mixture of martial arts, so bringing in some other Eastern traditions as well as into the yoga with, and then you have functional fitness, you have some also Western, philosophy, Ken Wilber's integral theory. And so I would say Kokoro yoga is a fusion of Western, Eastern meeting, when you're going to maybe do some squats and burpees in a fit warrior session. And so that's really the difference of, let's say, Kokoro yoga to what's known as like traditional Hatha yoga, which is specific yoga postures. You would never see a squat or a burpee put into a traditional yoga class.
Sure. And this, one reason why I love Kokoro yoga too. 14 years I've been running my private business, and 14 years ago I actually called my yoga warrior yoga because my business is Modern Warriors, right? And it's always been able, I can take people that love yoga and then be able to give them or push them to do a little bit more fitness and striking for what we do in our martial art, right? But I can also take the people that hate yoga the opposite way, right? And then kind of force them a little bit more to be more integrated, right? Too. So, and the reality is too, I think a lot of people, so Todd, who's signed up for Kokoro in July, has never done yoga. He's on board here, he indicates, right? And the reality is you might do a little yoga during your Kokoro on one of the mornings or somewhere in there to loosen your body and get your mind in a good spot. But a lot of people look at yoga, I don't think holistically. They're looking at it as only for the asana or the movement, right? And not all the other things that you mentioned as well. So, Catherine, here's a fun one. Can you remember your first yoga session? And
vaguely. So I'm gonna answer that in a couple. So the first yoga session I ever did, I was about 18 years old, and it was after a rave. So I had been up dancing all night, and I went to a yoga class in San Francisco. I don't remember it very well, but I know I did go to this yoga class. But then, like, my first yoga class that like turned me on to yoga, that got, lit my fire, that I went, ooh, there's something here, that really started me on my path where this became a lifestyle, was in Malibu in Southern California with a man named Steve, who was Madonna's yoga teacher. And he was an Ashtanga-based yoga teacher. And he did like rock and roll hip hop yoga classes. And so I remember that class. It was an hour and a half. It was mat to mat, like, about 80 people. Dennis Quaid was there. There was a couple other Hollywood big names, and it was like slightly heated, loud music, and I was a professional cook at the time. So I was like just coming to get my stretch on. And I felt that like amazing bliss after that yoga class. And I very much recall that and was like, ooh, I'm going to do this. And I started practicing regularly after that.
So yoga, we often say, and I truly believe this, right? I get this from you, I get it from Mark, and yoga is very much an individual practice. I mean, because again, it's not. I mean, it's something that we need to be spending a time with ourselves every day with breathwork, meditation, journaling, contemplation, the actual movement of yoga, right? Reading scriptures, etc., right? But do you have a favorite, something that you tend to lean in more yourself for your own personal practice?
I do. I would say out of all the pieces of yoga, my practice really is rooted in meditation. So that's where my passion lies. I wrote my book, Sacred Silence, on meditation that I released this year. And however, a physical practice, I love restorative yoga. So I love the sandbags and the bolsters and the straps and like getting into a posture for 15 minutes and just letting go. And I think it's because I'm such a driver, like my mind's constantly active. I'm a really physical person as well. So to have this opportunity of total let go relaxation, I very much enjoy. And I taught restorative yoga for years, and so I have an affinity to it. Yeah.
And part of the 2 weeks that I spent with you, we did some of that. I mean, never in my life did I, most of my yoga was power yoga and like stronger type yoga for what I do, right? And it's like so pleasurable to actually put your feet at the wall for 15 minutes. It's like the simplest things, right? And you feel so amazing. So awesome, very good. All right. Here's a good one, and this goes to Todd and some others who are online here that have no yoga experience. And by the way, Gerard is on as well, Fellner, who was on the couple weeks that we were all together. What does yoga give you, and what does it take away from you?
Like, you mean Gerhard?
Yeah, Gerhard.
What does yoga give me, and what does yoga take away from me? I don't know if yoga takes anything away from me. I'm hard pressed to think of anything it takes away. But what it does give me is an anchor of how to be in this world, with myself and then also with others. It helps me understand the nature of my mind and being human, and this humanness isn't, it's individual, but it's also very collective. And so I would say it gives me a rule book. And I remember at one point I was going to create a style of yoga called toolbox yoga, because I was like, it feels like a toolbox with lots of cool tools in it.
It's true though, right? Yeah, no doubt about it. Yeah, I forgot a follow-up question. Which is, you describe your style of yoga, but how would you recommend that someone else tries to find their maybe style of yoga?
Well, I think you have to explore. I have done so many different styles of yoga in the sense of going to classes and just putting myself in different environments. And so there's definitely, you're going to be uncomfortable in some where you're just going to like, this isn't my thing. Like today I took a spin class, and I actually do that regularly, but like the instructor was really off, and it was one of the worst classes I've ever been in. And so like there's going to be those classes where you're like, I don't like this at all. And then I would say, make sure it's not just the instructor, maybe go back to a different instructor, try it out. It could be you that day, so there's and often things that we don't like. Not this example. This was just someone not being good at cueing, but some things that make us uncomfortable are actually good for us. So I'd say to look up the different styles of yoga, like the Yoga Journal website. You can type in like different styles of yoga, and it'll all come up. And you have Ashtanga, Iyengar, Anahata, Anusara, Kripalu. I mean, there's so many. And then you could see what's in your area and try it out, see what's near you. Because I think convenience is a really big one for people. If it's, if the studio is further than 15, 20 minutes from your house, are you going to spend, an hour there and back and an hour to an hour and a half in your yoga class? Now things are online. There's so many different ways.
Which I was going to say, right? So, we do yoga, and part of what I do with it's coaching, reality-based self-defense, fitness, yoga, nutrition, firearms. We do a lot of things, right? But every Wednesday night, starting last year, instead of incorporating every now and then yoga in the fitness, I now have a yoga night. So the people that want it at least once a week for what we do, right? And to me, it's a lot about what I do is help teach people how to do it when you're no longer with me. So if you can't make class, I give you the tools, right? If you buy a sandbag at home, you should know how to use it when you're done with me, right? Whether it's sandbag, kettlebell, yoga, find your favorite 20 techniques, right? Your asana, and flow. And nothing wrong with waking up and just doing some. And by the way, I still do some yoga with Catherine.
Yeah, that's very cool. And I would say that's the difference between an instructor or a teacher. An instructor will not teach you how to do it on your own, and you'll have to keep coming back. A teacher will empower you so you are not dependent on them, and you can do it on your own. And I'd say find a teacher.
Yep, absolutely.
So Dennis, you're a teacher.
Todd has a couple questions in here, right? So what type of yoga is best for athletes? And again, so Todd, I'd say, again, find that, because you might want some restorative yoga to help you through the hard, right? So we refer to it as the hard and the soft of yoga, right? You can make yoga hard and you can make yoga soft, and yoga can be your breath training as well. So it says, I certainly could use better breathing and flexibility. So Todd, if you have not already been to Unreal Mind, right? And Kokoro Yoga and gone through some of the breathing, please do so before you show up to Kokoro in July, right? You're going to want to learn box breathing and some tactical breath at the very minimum, and learn how to hold your breath for a long time under cold water in the shower too. So.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's great. So I would say what the answer to that too is you're right on, is if you're pushing really hard, because I've trained for, the 20X event, and I trained for Kokoro. I never made it to Kokoro just due to continually injuring myself, and then finally just realizing it's not a realistic thing for me to do, is you want to have recovery time. So if you're going to be using yoga as active recovery, that's a great thing to do. And on the Kokoro Yoga website, there is the standard 20-minute drill that Mark does. That's really great. That just it's the hip mobility drill. I was blanking for a second. Hip mobility drill is really good. Or you can, again, just kind of go online. I have one free video on my YouTube channel, which is, don't judge me for it. It's really random videos. But there's one that SealFit filmed and I bootlegged and put up there years ago before we ever had an online yoga program or anything. And so my YouTube is Earth Medicine Love, and I'll type it into the chat so you can see it.
Please do.
And it's a gentle yoga practice, so it would be a great recovery practice for you to do. And but if you do 5 minutes a day, a forward bend, a little bit of a back bend, and some lateral bend, and then a twist, so you get your spine moving in all different directions. And then, as Dennis mentioned, some just tactical breathing of inhale to exhale matched, or doing the box breathing where you're holding equal parts after the inhale and exhale. Those things will prepare you for Kokoro, but definitely recommend getting that mental game going. It's not just physical. Yeah.
So Fellner from our 2-week classes on too, right? He says he currently uses Sun Cell A lot and parts of the hip mobility drill often himself. So right, to help out with him. So awesome, Todd, you got that. Oh, hey, there we go. Introduce everyone. Go ahead.
This is Starlight. She's part of she helped train Dennis too.
Yes, she did. Awesome. All right, we got about 10 minutes left, and so and a few more questions here. All right, so. One of the things when we talk about the type of yoga that might be good for me too is maybe someone actually going to a teacher training to learn. So again, you learn how to do it so you can actually do it yourself instead of being that's the teacher thing again, right? Versus getting in some instruction. So what does a yoga teacher training involve?
Well, I would say it depends on the yoga teacher training. It involves definitely, like you said, taking time off. There's some programs that do it on the weekends, so people that are working. I had one student who did 200 hours where it was on the weekends because she's a lawyer, and so she worked all week, and then she'd spend her Saturdays and Sundays at the yoga studio, and it took about 6 to 8 months, I think, to graduate.
That's how
versus, and that's pretty realistic for a lot of people. Versus one teacher training I did was 2 weeks twice a year for 2 years. So that's a pretty big time commitment. Or like what you did, Dennis, with the 2 weeks straight, and I did one training that was also 8 months. I had to be at the studio 4 times a week for at least 2 hours. And then I did Saturdays and Sundays, and that was a 500 hour. So it's just more hours. So and then I think there's now, because of COVID, the Yoga Alliance used to not allow online yoga trainings. They wouldn't certify them, but I believe they're starting to. So you're going to see a lot more online yoga trainings coming up.
My first certification was online. I hope to bring that instructor on at some point also in the near future, and promote him and it too, right? So I think the great thing is it depends on the person, right? If you want to have a massive immersion and a cool experience, then and you can take 2 weeks off, it's awesome, right? I definitely think, I think a lot of things that really inspire people, like I want people to sign up for self-defense for the year. I don't, if you can't, then come to a weekend camp, right? And so, but if you take the longer term, you can do your own yoga during either at home or go, like you said, 4 times a week it's required, right? And so, immersion is awesome. It provides some great benefits, but there's something to be said about that daily stuff, right? Or more regularity, that maybe you're able to actually learn better and retain more, right, in the long haul. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite yogi or guru?
Well, I would say my favorite guru that I've met is Amma, and the other one who has passed, before I could have met him is Paramahansa Yogananda. So Amma is considered a saint from southern India, and she's known as the hugging saint. She travels all around the world hugging people, and she raises money. She's gotten acknowledged by the Peace Prize. Like, she's raised so much money giving back to homeless, building, houses for children, getting food. Like, she's an amazing humanitarian. That's what it is. She's won a humanitarian award. So Amma, she's a pretty big power on this planet. She's doing a lot of good work, and I got to spend a week and a half at her ashram in southern India. I've seen her a handful of times here in the States when she visits, and I always feel lighter when I'm around her, and I can feel like the heart, just like all that love. So I'll have to name her as my favorite guru.
Very awesome. And I always love to say when I leave people a lot of times or an email, big hug. So it's all good.
Big hug. Yeah.
Do you have anything specific that you would advise any beginners? We have some beginners that are on the chat. And then do you have anything that advice you'd like to give any experienced yogis that we might have on as well?
I think the beginners, just recognizing that yoga really is about breath. So breath is the cue for anything we're doing. And so that you want to put breathing with ease in front of any physical thing that you do with yoga. And then also be careful if you do hot yoga, if you're just starting out, because the heat gives you a false sense of flexibility, and a lot of people get injuries in hot yoga. So I'm not against hot yoga, because I definitely have done it and do occasionally, but I think you have to be really careful because it creates mobility that isn't there. And have fun, and I would say that to the beginners and the advanced is like, have fun. And to the advanced is remember that you're a beginner, because we're never advanced. And
I love it.
Yeah, so we can think we're super, like I could call myself an expert if I wanted, but that's not true. I'm a beginner, and that's what yoga is. That's
beginning.
That's the other
right?
definition of yoga. It's beginning again and again, every day, begin again, and breathe. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So those were the tough questions, right? I have some fun follow-up questions for I don't know, me, so our audience and you. So I'm gonna throw out just a couple of wacky questions, right?
Okay, I'm ready. You ready, sir?
Would you rather be forced to dance every time you heard music, or be forced to sing along to any song you heard?
Dance.
Back in the rave party. All right. Very good. Would you rather be able to control animals, not humans, with your mind, or control electronics with your mind?
Ooh, that's a harder one. Electronics with my mind or humans? Well, I'm thinking of like if AI gets to the point where it's more advanced than humans, then I think I would pick electronics, because I want to always be able to navigate artificial intelligence as they advance. And then I don't know, because then I go, well, it'd be amazing. I think of like when I've been in nature, and like I think you've heard this story, Dennis, but when I got to sit with a whole herd of elk for about 18 hours, and like, or when I've swam with whales in the ocean, like if there could be, I don't think I'd want to control animals. So I'm going to go with electronics. Now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah.
All right. So I have a cool follow-up though. A cool follow-up, right? Would you rather be able to talk to land animals, animals that fly, or animals under the sea?
Whales.
Crazy. How did I come up with these?
Yeah, they're good questions. Well, it's definitely either the ocean animals or the birds. I don't know. See, that's hard too. Yeah, it's hard, or land, because I think like I'd love to have a conversation with a jaguar. I'd love to have a conversation with a humpback whale, and I'd love to have a conversation with a hawk. I can't pick.
That's all good. Cool. We have a few minutes left, so let me go to a question or two that we have from our chat here, right? Let's see what we got here. Is music rhythm a good flow principle?
Music rhythm.
I guess like the rhythm of music, the beat, because I know
Fellner
does this, I think, and is part of his practice with some of his flow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think using rhythm for sequencing your flow, yes, absolutely. There's no doubt that, to work. I think, again, as long as it's not compromising breathing. So if you're going, you have to look at why are you doing it, right? That's always a part of when going into practice, if you're adding things on like music. So I don't personally practice to music that much. But if I was going to add it in, why am I adding it in? So if I'm adding it in to bring a beat that I'm going to practice to, and I start to compromise my breath, am I getting what I need out of my practice? Maybe because I'm boogieing, like there's a little bit of jam in there, and I'm going to come out feeling really inspired. So I would say yes, and why am I doing this? It's a good question. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. I'm just toggling through, now I'm in the private chat with you, where you put
oh, that's a private chat. Yeah, that was for for Todd, who wanted to find my.
Yeah, I got you. Cool. I'll make sure I put it out there. So we only have a couple minutes left. I thank you so much. Like I said, but I'd like you to be able to share with our audience again your website, and I'll post all this to my Facebook page and YouTube page and in our portal as well too, right? So. Catherine, anything you want to share with your YouTube page or anything that you want to share with anybody?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, well, I released my ebook, so it's a Kindle. It's on Amazon, called Sacred Silence, and it's under Catherine Devine. I think it's a great book for anybody that is beginning meditation, or for advanced practitioners who just want to explore a viewpoint, that I'm joining the conversation in. I professionally am doing more intuitive healing work, and I do it long distance. So if anyone's ever interested in doing energy work with me, I offer that. And my email is earthmedicinelove@gmail.com. And then my website is earthmedicinelove.com, which awesome. It's still a little bit in construction. So, it's on and off the website these days, but you can always reach me on my email. And I also offer private yoga. If anyone's ever interested in doing one-on-one yoga virtually, I can do that as well. But I'm excited to get to be here with your community, Dennis. I feel honored and grateful to get to be here. And thank you for everybody that joined and asked questions.
Yeah, awesome. Very good. So with that, folks, we'll see you next month as well. I forget who we're moving to next month. It's either grappling striking. No, actually, we have we will have DVRT Ultimate Sandbag Josh Henkin on next month. It's another person very near and dear to me as well too. So, Catherine, thank you. Right, namaste.
Namaste.
Love you much. All right.
Love you.
Take care. All right. Thanks,
Bye,
everybody. Bye-bye. Folks, visit monitorwarriors.com. Visit our Facebook page, our YouTube page, right? Come out to some live training and share this, share the page, and let other people know that you know what we're doing here. And we got a lot going on, right? So we had some Commando Krav Maga on last month. We had coaching with Mike Osterlink on the month before. So everything we do, right, in an integrated warrior fashion is what is going to be in these podcasts, right? Whether it's coaching, performance coaching, mindset coaching, maybe even some breath work, right? We'll maybe break something down maybe a little bit further, right? Reality-based self-defense discussions, firearms discussions, grappling discussions, striking discussions, nutrition discussions, overall wellness type things. So hey, monitorwarriors.com, visit us, consider joining our online university. All these types of things are in there as well. We have a couple hundred videos that are already in the university, and we're recording weekly to put more of everything that's in there. So visit it, check it out, monitorwarriors.com, go to that online university, and give it out, give it a try. 2 weeks free. Take care, folks. Until then, train hard, train smart, train safe, train real, and train for life.